This is Logical MGTOW Spock. I again do not know if I'm going to be putting a title on this one, but I'm going to start off with one particular thing that I'm going to put out on a video to all MGTOW brothers that also live in New York as well as Florida. And I'm not going to say exactly where in those two states, but there was a friend of mine that an old friend of mine that I at one point got to know gradually to be where we be were where we were friends and became like brothers. Um, Much like my other longtime friend became like brothers that lived in the Bay Area at the time. Um, so essentially, you could say that I had two close friends that I considered like brothers eventually. This one particular one, I wrote to the MGTOW brothers, my fellow MGTOW brothers, and I'm gonna read it. Let's see. And this will also go out to the MGTOW brothers that watch my videos, if any. Anyways, dear fellow MGTOW brothers, I know my longtime old friend once lived in Sacramento, California, on Arden Way at the Arden Garden Apartments. I'd say he would need the same backup and support that many of us regular MGTOW members have had for more than some time, to where he is safe and free from the negative, sinful Feminist ME-TOO Movement female followers and members of the two feminist movements and their sinful actions and more. Do note, he moved from California and says that he is in New York, but I rather suspect that he is in the state of Florida. So if you are in those two states, do look. He is a fan, and he is a fan of Elvis. I should have put Presley, but I did put and Michael Jackson. He had he had he last had essentially one or two cats. He is a fan of horror flicks like the Freddie Krueger movies and the H2O of, I believe it was the Nightmare on Elm Street one I mentioned. I didn't put that on there, but that's one of many of horror flicks he likes. And maybe also just some Jason ones too. I'm not sure, but anyway. Um, um, and that old friend's name is Steve Mathis. Now, what? Now, MGTOW brothers. Before I do a topic here, MGTOW brothers. He had a he met a woman online. That that eventually came over to be with him while in Arden Gardens. Um, and she wanted to have a child with him. And it was just the first fucking time they met. She was that fucking desperate. Okay? And the more eager she was, put more pressure on him. Therefore, when she found that she wasn't going to get what she wanted, she skipped out on him. That is another one of many things I know, MGTOW brothers, we have talked about that women do to their high expectations and their entitlements. If they don't get what they want, then they'll skip out on us and try to get it from other men. We know this, MGTOW brothers. We know this. Although there is one thing I will add. And it was not too long from my divorce from my wife. Of course, it was my choice due to there was personal reasons that myself and my now ex-wife had dealt with back and forth. But outside of that, the one thing I brought up to my friend and the woman at the same time, because it was just my old friend Steve Mathis and the woman that he met online and myself. Okay. I brought up the fucking fact that I'd be able to have her ride the cock carousel of mine, and therefore they'd be able to have a child right there. He didn't go for it. She was more than eager for that to actually happen. She didn't have any discounts or anything about it. Would I have really done it? In respect of, even in respect of my friend and brother, Steve Mathis, and who I considered a brother anyway, Steve Mathis, right? Time would have told, as the old saying goes. I'm not gonna say yay. I'm not gonna say nay. I'm not gonna go anywhere in between that. But I'm just gonna leave it as time would have told. But the end result was that he didn't go for it. He even voiced it out, although I can't remember exactly what he said. But nonetheless, I heard what he said at the time. but but again, if he say for example, if he did agree to it, would I have done it? Again, time would have told. But again, she'd have to go through a process. More than willingly. And of course, she'd probably expect me to do the same thing, but I'd be like, honey, I already know I'm clean. But the basic fact is that would I have done it still though? Again, time would have told. Would that be logically fair to my friend and who I consider a brother? it would have been helpful. Like, I mean, how there's women that fucking help other couples that want to have children that can't have children, right? You could look at it that way. But who's to say that he wasn't able to, shall we say, um, procreate or not? That one thing, that one of many other things I will not judge on, nor negatively assume. Because after all, judge not, for ye will be judged. Or better yet, judge not, or ye will be judged. So I'm not going to judge. I even knew that particular biblical saying and scripture way before. I even brought that up, and before I saw that she was more eager for that to happen. You could say that she was that easy, that desperate. She was willing to open her legs not only to my friend, my longtime old friend, and who I consider a brother, but she was willing to open her legs to me, just so she'd have the possibility of giving birth to a child or children. Though I will say this. It was stated the reason for that, and I can understand this psychologically. Okay. Um. Anyways, the reason for that, of the way it was told to me as well, that she felt that her parents and her family was not directly or even indirectly, but putting emotional psychological pressure on her to have a child. It wasn't just, when are you gonna find a man and have children with? It wasn't that normal thing at all. She felt it more than illogically, emotionally pushed upon her. Was that a logical, sensible thing for her to have pressure of to do and to generally feel that she's more than expected to do and have happen? No. Even if it was put, even if the male was had that same pressure, it still would not be logical, nor would it be very sensible and very caring and loving for a parent to do to their own offspring, no matter the gender. But logically, but not logically, but the whole aspect of the whole thing is that no no matter what, and nonetheless as well, is that she still had that pressure upon her. She did not go to the points to where I'll have children whenever I'm good and ready. I'm not going to be coerced or into it even by my own family. She didn't go to that extent. She just got to the points to where she had to be expected to do what her family members wanted her to do, or and be that of course expected her to do. So logically, that is not very caring, and not very loving, and not very forthcoming. Am I in defending her? Yes, yes I am as an advocate. Seeing that I am an advocate, I am. But as MGTOW member, no. Kabuki Wookie also mentions that we MGTOW hate women. Continuously, he's mentioned this more than once. The very person that comments on my videos. And I keep telling him, we MGTOW do not hate women. Many women think that many MGTOW members hate women. It was even stated, even questioned by some women callers on the Tom Leykis show. Do you really hate women that much? What did any woman do to you to make you this way? Type of shit, you know? Even Tom Leykis says he doesn't hate women. And he explained that from that point on, they did not make that brother. You will hear it if you listen to his recorded radio shows. Only I'd say the two that knows that Tom Leykis said what he says and why. The two people that I know that know Tom about what Tom Leykis objectives and more are, and what he said even to every female of this species and gender. The only two people that I know that know about Tom Leykis, even in that aspect, are myself and Mr. Hate Vicious. Those are the only two people that I know, even personally, in a way, not face to face personally or nothing like that, but just personally in another way. Uh, Basically talking to one another online. Yes, I know there are many men outside of that have listened to the Tom Leykis show, that have gone even to many of the events that Tom Leykis has put out. Many of those men are probably in different states now. But I'm not going to say whether or not if Tom Leykis is still around or not, but he should still do a book on what he taught on his Tom Leykis 101 shows. In fact, it was brought up more than once, even on his radio show, by many male listeners, for him to write a book. And many of them called it the biblical teachings for men, written by Tom Leykis himself. Who's to say if Tom Leykis is actually working on that or not? He hasn't done a radio show for over more than a year now, as far as from what I know, because I haven't seen any other recordings done that are not in the aspect of 2020. In the year of 2020, that is. His radio show was aired in L.A., California, in Los Angeles, California. So all in all, let's get back on the woman there that my longtime friend and who I considered her brother, and being of course who was Steve Mathis. Was it right for her to put the pressure on him? Is it right for a woman to put pressure on any man? And then to find that just because he doesn't decide to do it right then and there or on her expected time period or length, that she just skips out on it. It wasn't right. It's never right to do that. But of course, women don't really think of what's right or wrong, do they? Especially when it comes to us men, they only think of what's right and better for them. That's all they care about. That's all they're really focused on. Much like when it comes to their entitlements, that's all they care about. As long as they get what they want, that's all they give a damn about. Much like in the divorce proceedings, especially with the No Fault Act being added in there due to the Feminist ME-TOO little bitchin' movement. Little fucking feminist movements. And yet the No Fault Act was, again, only to be separate if only if a woman were to be raped. Of course, that's not her fault. Being raped is not a woman's fault. Of course, many men will say, well, if women didn't dress so damn easy and slutty by showing skin and all this, then they wouldn't have been raped. There's been many men who there's been many women, essentially, and I've seen it myself, that have not dressed so, shall we say, whorish, or what have you, or just in regular clothing. And there's been many women who have slept in their own homes where there's a break-in and men rape them. It's been shown on crime shows such as, say, Unsolved Mysteries or Case Files. It was mostly Case Files. And other cop detective type shows, outside of the scripted ones, like Law and Order and all that. But of course, due to the feminist movement, as I've said, is that the No Fault Act has been added into the divorce proceedings. In divorce cases, and I can tell you, women have used that as an advantage to act like they're single when really they're not, and ride the cock carousel in the sense of going against the Bible. There's two aspects to it. There's two aspects to that in the biblical sense, is that one shall not commit adultery. The other one is the other one is one shall not covet thy neighbor's wife. In the case of women, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's husband. And in the biblical sense, it doesn't matter if you're married or not. You commit the one sin, and if the person's married or in a relationship or not, even if the two are married or in a relationship or not, it's still a sin. And those two apply without question. There's no if he or she's not married, and then the covet thy neighbor's husband or thy neighbor's wife does not apply. Bull fucking shit. It does. It does apply. It would be just as simplified if the man or woman was in a relationship with another man. If the man was in a relationship with a woman, and if the woman was in a relationship with a man, but yet the woman still did the adultery action, no matter what, both still apply, which basically puts sinful actions upon the female. Much like it would the male if the male did the very thing. And and women will also come up with the aspect, oh, it just happened. Like it was not under her own control. Like she had no control over not letting it happen. That's a load of shit. That's a phony, weak ass, so so illogically stated excuse, and still sinful. A woman can make it to where she is not done by another man sexually, much like a man can do the same thing if a woman were to go that direction. As much as it's been stated that men lead women to that direction. So it just happened is a phony, weak ass excuse, women. No matter how you put it, it just happened. Type of bullshit excuse. Or things where we were talking and we got a little bit more acquainted, and it just happened. Phony, sinful, bullshit, lame ass excuse said by women, much like women would say about us men if we men were to say it, and try to use that same damn excuse. I don't know if now getting back again on my old friend's now woman that came over to be with him and see him. I don't know if she's actually with child yet or not. Nor am I going to negatively assume that she's not. Nor am I going to negatively assume if she is. It was nobody knows but Heavenly Father Himself. But even with what I said, even getting back to the topic of my friend and the woman, All of what I said is in actuality still. What I said on the videos before this one. The ones I made yesterday and the day before yesterday are still truth, factual, logic, and I know women still hate that shit about the fact that we MGTOW members say the truth about them that they don't want to admit. Because they feel that if they admit the things that we say about the woman, that they would look weak and insignificant and, shall we say, not so woman-like if they were to simply admit their faults, wrongdoings, sinful actions. In short, they don't, like I said in my video from yesterday on the title, women are not without sin, much like men are not without sin. Much like the idiot that commented on a political issue, political situation that tried to judge me, he's not without sin. And at one time he had the New England Patriots symbol on his little comment, on the comment box there that he typed in. He's not without sin. Women are not without sin. They like to think that they are without sin, but they're not. They like to make it to where women would be the only gender that are without sin. You know how mentally deranged that is, ladies? If you thinking just because you're the weaker gender in society's eyes, that you think you can go so far in thinking that you're without sin, just like our Savior, Jesus Christ, and just so you can get away with doing the shit that you know is sinful, you know is wrong, but you do it anyway. As long as you women get what you want, when you expect it, and how you expect it, that's all you give a damn about. To the point to where you'll do anything and say anything and do and practically do anything in action just to get what you want, ladies. We don't go that far. We don't give up our bodies, even in a sexual promiscuity, to get what we want, like you women do. Hence the phrase, the woman is easy, the woman is a slut, the woman is a whore. You don't like those terminologies, do you, ladies? But the more you go about it, even in that aspect, you cannot stop it from happening and stop it from being said. I don't like that. I don't like when people are, shall we say, labeled either. But in the case of you women, to think that you're so entitled when you're not, thinking that you can get away with practically anything and everything, especially when it comes to not getting a ticket or getting arrested for even a DUI, for example, thinking that you'll be able to be just patted on the back and put on your way. Many women who have gotten cuffed up due to even drug paraphernalia, what have you, have been cuffed up, and then they put out more than a hissy fit. It's been shown on every cop show practically that's out there. And there's not not one thing even the feminist or Me Too movements can do a damn thing about. And in fact, the feminist and Me Too movements are too fearful of doing so. This is another truth of and about the female gender as well as the feminist and Me Too movements. So, women, seeing that you have that against you, you might it's becoming more and more apparent that you can actually see of many other reasons why we men and MGTOW men don't want to deal with you anymore, don't want to cohabitate with you anymore, and along with the fact that women have gone so far. Even it's I saw a video yesterday, I where a woman it was on a news report where a woman I put her vehicle right through a wall, a residential wall, because she didn't like the fact that her boyfriend or fiance was about to go with another woman. Be that it broke, well, obviously without even saying it, he broke it off with her, but and then just started going with another woman. She didn't like that, so she just drove the vehicle right through the damn wall of the residential area that where not only he lived but other people in his family and where children were also residing in, young children. There was also another news report on a video I saw, and I'm not going to say where a woman was about to literally suffocate a handicapped male, a person that has no mobility in leg wise mostly, which is, although I'm not going to say all people in wheelchairs don't have mobility with legs, because I've seen otherwise as well. But I'm not going to say if he did or didn't either. But all it was mentioned was the fact that he was in a wheelchair, right? He was mobilized. He was mobile mostly in a wheelchair. Um, he was luckily able to push the little feminist, little sinful bitch off of him. Lucky for him, and it's a good thing actually. Um, while she be there, of course, after the fact of she put a pillow over his head and trying to suffocate him. You women want to deny it, be my guest. But it is these and much more of the news reports have been shown. Women have been incarcerated due to their heinous, sinful actions against us men. Heinous, sinful, harmful actions against us men for no real logical reason at all. And I know women will say, well, he wanted me to. He didn't want to live anymore. He didn't want to live and suffer anymore, so he asked me to. When he really didn't. Then, well, of course, there's many other excuses women will come up with. Henceforth, they do not take accountability. Women are not taking accountability for their own actions that they do, even more than willfully, of their own state of mind and thought. Before they actually do it, they think about it and they actually do it. And some of them do think about it, but they don't do it until sometimes much later. Or they'll do something even more heinous than that over time. Not really to themselves, but to the man, or to a man, even if she's not going with the man. See how sinful women are? See how hateful women are? See how much women are so into doing us men in? And yet at the same time they think that they will be patted on the back by society and the law for doing so to the male gender. And they obviously think that they'll be patted on the back and get a free pass to go into through heaven. No, they won't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No way. The more women do heinous, harmful actions and sinful actions behind our back, behind the man's back, against us men, even if it's not the man that they're going with, even if it is the man that they're going with or did go with, or semi recently, or not so recently broke up with or ended the relationship with, or the man ended the relationship from being with her and she didn't like it. Either way, the woman thinks that they're justified in doing so, and that they will be vindicated and patted on the back for doing so. You're wrong there, ladies. The more women do that, you're making your gender look bad. You're making your gender not look so dangerous because men are still stronger than women. But you're making it to where you, women, as well as the women that don't do it, look bad. Even the women that have only begun to date, you're making them look bad. You're making the ones that have gone into, that were about to go into relationships even for the first time, you're making them look bad, ladies. You're not only making yourselves look bad, but you're making the younger generation bad. You're making them look bad as well. Seriously. Of course, you women don't think of this, do you? You just go ahead and do it, don't you? But at the same time, thinking that you're going to be vindicated and you think you're going to be patted on the back. You think you're going to be getting a free pass by going to heaven after judgment. You think you're not going to be incarcerated for even the attempt. The more you think that, and the more you think that you're without sin, ladies, the more you will find that your soul will be led to the brink and depths of hell and damnation. It will go so far that Heavenly Father will put it to where if you do one other thing, it doesn't matter how many times you've done the wrong things, you do one more. And after judgment, He'll send you straight into the pits of hell and damnation. Granted, he will still love you like he loves every one of us men. Being Heavenly Father loves every one of his sons, including his only begotten, being our Savior Jesus Christ. He loves us men, being his sons. He loves you women, being his daughters. But he will not pat you on the back and send you into heaven. Therefore, you are not without sin. You are a human being just like we men are, ladies. But you are not without sin. The only one that's without sin is our Savior. That's as far as it goes. Even the preachers and bishops are not without sin. And pastors are not without sin. Both male as well as female. Not even Chloe Sunderland is without sin. And her objectives that I mentioned on now 4 of my videos, her objectives is to humiliate the male in the defense and what have you of women, in the name of feminism and the MeToo movements. That right there is a sin, Chloe Sunderland. And yet women have defended her, saying, "Oh, she's only trying to help. You're so insecure." And we men are not insecure when we speak the damn fucking truth about you women, including Chloe Sunderland. You don't like it? Then don't do the shit. And no, we're not saying that women have to go back into the points of the 1950s kitchen and house, cleaning house and shit like that. We're not saying that, because even in the Star Trek universe, both women as well as men are sharing house chore responsibilities. Even in today's day and age, men have been cleaning a house, both single and while in a relationship, and even when they're not even married. Yes, I know there's comedian type, comedic type programs where it's like Al Bundy, where he doesn't help clean house. Hell, they don't. Hell, even Meg Bundy doesn't clean house 100% of the time anyway. Same thing with according to Jim. Same thing. He does help clean house, and so does Tim the Toolman Taylor. But they don't show it all the time now, do they? But it does mean that they don't do it. Of course, there's one person that does clean house, whether with the fact that he's also a single father, due to, according to the storyline, that his wife died in a car accident, and he was responsible for 3 girls. Of course, 2 of his longtime friends came in to move in with him and help him out. One is just like my friend that I mentioned in this video earlier being an Elvis fan connoisseur as well. One also does imitations, much like another number of people that I know besides Morgan, and besides Robin Williams, essentially. And many of us know this particular the name of this sitcom now, don't we? If you don't know the three names that I mentioned, one's Danny Tanner, Bob Saget's character. One's Dave Coulier, Joey Gladstone. One's John Stamos, Jesse Katsopoulos, and who was at one point, there was a video and it's on YouTube as well. There was a video of saying that the character's original name was Hermes. So women, you cannot say that we men do not share in the responsibilities. As much as you'd like to, you cannot. Even with the ones that don't share in the responsibilities of housework, you still can't say it. Because if it was where the man was by themselves, of course they're going to do it. And I'm not shaming men either, because I'm telling the truth here. There are women just like Meg Bundy that don't clean the house as much as they should. Case in point, there was I'll give you an example, even though it's a characterization. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. That there was a characterization on Friends, the other sitcom, where Ross Geller, David Schwimmer's character, was dating on the show, of course, a woman. They at one point went to her place, and everybody knows who watches Friends knows the outcome of that twice, if not three times, that he's gone into that place before Monica offered to help clean the woman's house. And Monica being, of course, Courtney Cox, and who was formerly known as Courtney Cox Arquette, like her character. But the character that Ross was dating on the show, the female character that Ross was dating on the show, lived in a more than proverbial pigsty. Granted, yes, it was set up that way. Even for the comical shtick, if you will. By even the characterization's reactions and such, right? But we cannot say that a certain number of you women don't live in that manner. I know it's easy for women to say that men live in that manner more than women. But you cannot say that you women don't live in the same manner in your own way, however it may be and why. Now, if Chloe Sunderland wanted to talk with me, I'd be okay to talk with her. If I were to run into the woman that skipped out on my old friend and who I consider a brother, being, of course, the woman that skipped out on my friend Steve Mathis. If I were to talk to her, I'd talk to her. Yeah. Be that if she was, and also if she was saying, "Well, I still haven't had a child yet. Are you still up for doing what you said, even though I'm not with your friend anymore?" If she asked me that, I'd be like, I might say yes, I might say no. But even with that, time will tell. Be that, of course, with the fact that that if it actually were to play out that way, and I'm not gonna say if it will or won't, because I don't even know. So it would be not very logical of me to say that it will when, as time goes on, it doesn't. And you know this to be true. And if Steve Mathis were to watch this video, and if he saw any number of my other videos, Steve Mathis, the one that lived in Carmichael at one point and had dealings with his supposed ex girlfriend that he lived beneath at one point in the same building but different unit below the woman's unit. And then years later met a woman online, the one that put pressure on him to help her procreate a child. Steve Mathis, bro, I know it's been a while since we talked, but I'm willing to talk again. But at the same time, though, too, I hope you're doing okay. And if you ever came back to California, believe me, I'd hang out with you again, bro. If you saw and Steve Mathis, if you saw my discussion on about the past when it came to that one woman, again, time will tell if I would have done it. And I'm not going to say yes or I'm not going to say no because basically I respected you when you said no. I could have easily done it anyway, but you know me, I don't do that. Mm-mm. I respect people a lot better, and a lot more than women respect men or even themselves. Even more than at times. So again, Steve Mathis, if you're watching this video and you know that you lived at Arden Gardens on Arden Way, and we continuously hung out, even though at the time I lived over in Carmichael. At the time, that is. And if you were to come back out here again, I'd still hang with you. I'd still chill with you. Yeah, I do miss my friends. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't make it to where people have to play the fucking sympathy violin. It's okay for a male to miss his other friends. For those who try to put questionable judgment are not without sin. And also, Steve Mathis, my friend, if you want, you can join MGTOW. And if you want, I can tell you about MGTOW if you'd like. Aside from you watching many other MGTOW videos to get a better understanding, I can tell you about MGTOW. MGTOW brothers, we know that what I say is the truth. What I've said on this video is the truth. Women think they are not the continuously judging type. Women have judged men more than men have judged women. Even then, they were not without sin. Both genders are not without sin. Many women, even feminist bitches, will say, and Me Too bitches will say, well, you're judging us women. We never would judge you men. Bull fucking shit. Women have gone to the points of insult, trying to insult us verbally and in text. Women have gone so far even to judge us and negatively make negative assumptions about us men, even to and in conversation with the other female friends of theirs. Women, you cannot deny this. Women have gone so far in thinking that they are the prize and they're not the prize. And I'm not going to say we men are the prize either. So the quotation or affirmation of the word or the phrase the prize is null and void for both genders. Regardless of a woman's sexuality and the way they look, same thing for the men. Yet women, there was again, I mentioned on one of my other videos that women have gone so far in the sense of saying women need to become muscular and accept us men even if we're fat and fugly. Women, you do not call the shots as much as we men don't call the shots. Yes, there are men out there that will accept fat and fugly women. Aside from the fact that there are many men that are fat and fugly as well out there, of their own choice. As unhealthy as it is, it's still their own choice. But again, you women do not call the shots of what is to be done and become, and what we men should and should not do. That is not your responsibility, nor is it your objective to make such of a accusation and a ruling of sorts towards us men. If you really want to call it a ruling, when really it's a sinful accusation and statement. So you women have no place. Therefore, again, you are not without sin. With that, you sin. For making that type of statement, any statement even remotely close to it, or any other accusation even remotely close to it. And with that, again, ladies, judge not, for ye will be judged. That also applies to you, ladies. You're not free of it. And that's the truth. Whether you want to accept it or not, it doesn't matter. It's still going to remain the truth. What we say about you women, you know damn well is the truth. You just don't want to admit it. What we have said about you women is the truth, but yet you don't want to admit it. Therefore, you will not. You think you don't have to be accounted for your actions. Yes, you do. We men have to are accounted for every action that we do and do not do. Mostly do, but the same thing applies to you women. Whether you want to accept it or not, it doesn't fucking matter. It still applies. You're not going to get a pat on the back for trying to do us men in, unless they're evil, sinful idiots themselves. And who are also not without sin. And you're not going to be congratulated by anybody in society unless they are sinful, hateful idiots who are also not without sin still. As much as you are not without sin, ladies. And if the woman that I mentioned about when it came to my old longtime friend by the name of Steve Mathis, if she were to watch and she were to come over to California and try to see if I'm still up for it, what I said to her and my friend, which was many years ago, if she were to find me and ask me that one question, or maybe even a question similar to it, again, time will tell. But the one thing is also Steve Mathis. If my old friend Steve Mathis were to be um, coming out back out here, I would tell him about MGTOW. I would easily hang out with him like I did before. We went to McDonald's. We ate McDonald's. We went to Dimple Records. Of course, Dimple Records is no longer in existence out here. And I'm not going to say where. Here it is exactly. And also, I'd be like a person that helped them out, and I did help them out in many ways, many different ways. Even with what I knew in psychology, and what I still know in psychology. I could add one other thing to it, and I know even McHenry Cruiser, and who's also known as Nicholas Colburn. He's known on Facebook, of course. He's known as McHenry Cruiser on YouTube. If McHenry Cruiser were to make a reaction video, be my guest, dude, of saying, I'm gonna befriend your old friend before you befriend him. You don't even know who he is, McHenry. You don't even know who or what he looks like. Because there's many people by the name of Steve Mathis. Trust me, there's a whole long list of it on Facebook, possibly also on Instagram, as well as maybe Twitter, among others. So you, McHenry, would not be able to know unless you were to somehow or another come across town and see me hanging out with him at one point in the past, or even in the present. Aside from that, you still don't know. You can say, "Whoa, find out." Logical MGTOW spot. I don't care. Try as you may, but that would also divert McHenry Cruiser for going in his vocalized objective that he's been vocalizing even since recent, of wanting to skip states. He said he was going to go from California to Maine, then stay there about 3-6 months, and then go to another, then another, then another, then eventually come back to California. I, as an advocate, warned him that if he does that, regardless, even if he does mention to the Social Security Administration that he's established in some county, in some state, no matter how many times, eventually Social Security will start questioning him. And they will eventually warn him one more hop, and he doesn't remain there for longer than 6 months, for longer than a year, for longer than 12 years, that they will cut him off. And that can happen. That can happen to anybody. But outside of that, you women who are on a particular income as well, it can happen to you as well. You are not going to be minused out, even of that. As much as women are not without sin, as much as women need to learn to take accountability, and women have truly forgotten how to love the person and the other person outside themselves and outside the aspect of children. I'm not saying children are any less important, because I consider myself important. I consider children equally important. In fact, as I've said before, once you have a child or children, it's not about you anymore. But yet women want to think it still is about them, even if they do have children, when it's not. Once a woman and a man have a child, it's not about the woman or the man. But yet women think that it is about them as much as it is about the child. No, it doesn't work that way. Never has, never will. Aside from the ever so famous saying, women and children first. that doesn't apply to where women as well as children are the top reign above the man. What the way it really goes is here's man and woman right here. This is man and woman. Here's the child or children. It doesn't go child and woman and then the man down here. Uh-uh. Never will. And that's more than a guarantee. And what I say and what I've said is the truth, without question. What I've said on every one of my videos is the truth, without question. What every other MGTOW member has said is the truth about women, without question as well. No matter how much women don't like it, start taking accountability, ladies. And also, ladies, the base and level of entitlements is null and void. The only true entitlement for both genders is spiritual entitlement. That's it. Learn to accept it, ladies. This is Logical MGTOW Spock. Men, stay single, stay strong, stay self-assured, self-confident, have faith and belief in yourself, and self-confidence and self-assurance within yourself. Have also love and more than concern and more than consideration for and within yourself as well. Stay single, stay strong, stay MGTOW if you're not already MGTOW, but also men, if you want to free yourself from feminism, stay single. And if you want to free yourself from the Me Too little bitches as well, stay single. Listen to Tom Likas. And gradually become MGTOW when you're fully ready. Stay MGTOW, MGTOW for life, brothers. Have a good day.